And I think one of the key things, again, is taking what you're learning sometimes, wherever it may be, from your church or from your podcast or from wherever, and applying it in today's world is the most important thing. We can sit and read and study all day long in our offices, but if we don't go out and apply it in today's world, then that's not very helpful.
Right. Applying is super important because it moves the effect of what you're learning off of yourself, and it helps spread to help other people.
Hello, everyone. We are Greg and Jacquie Francis, and welcome to High Performance Parenting, where our passionate goal is to encourage you to raise champion children in a crazy world. Every week, we will bring you multiple episodes from our extensive experience of raising our six happy, healthy, successful, godly kids who are confidently equipped to win big in life.
We deeply believe that any parent who is provided with the right knowledge and continual support can raise amazing kids. And when they do, all of our futures get better. If raising up future generations of absolute champions matters to you as much as it does to us, here's how you can contribute. Like and share this podcast with everyone you know. And together, let's embrace this journey of raising champion kids in a crazy world.
Welcome back, everyone. So excited to be in the podcasting studio with my mom and my two sisters. And we hope you guys are having an awesome day today because we're going to have an awesome podcast.
That's right. What are we talking about today, Crissy?
We're going to be talking about how we grow ourselves outside of just church on Sundays.
That's right. And, we really feel like it's super important for us to all take ownership in growing and changing and developing into the people that we want. As we're raising up our kids, we don't expect outside people to teach our kids everything they need to know. Greg and I take the ownership of that a lot, but then eventually we teach our kids to take that ownership. And so today I just want the kids to kind of chat with you a little bit of what are some of the things that they do to work on themselves, whether it's spiritually, whether it's relational, whether it's business, whether it's friendships, whether it's their health journey. Just what are they doing outside of church or outside of schools, environments, or other educational environments? What are you guys doing to help yourself be the best version of yourself?
Right, and this is a really important topic because having a relationship with God and relationship with others is a lot more important than just one day a week going to church or just one text a week with your friends. There's a lot more to it. So who wants to start?
Okay, Abbie, you're up.
Well, one thing that we do, like if we're going into the relationships, we've done podcasts about how we grow with each other as siblings, but also with our church friends. They didn't come to us, we came to them to be their friends, and how we text them on a regular basis, have hangout days with them.
So you seek out friendships. You don't expect everyone to seek you out. If you want to work on a relationship and develop a relationship, you take the initiative to get to know and invite those that you want to get to know.
Yeah, exactly. And we just, even if we hang out at church, we also make sure that we hang out more than just going to church, and also get time to actually connect with each other, because at church we do get to hang out with each other, but it's also a time to connect with God as well. So we make sure that we also get a relationship with each other as well, which is really fun, whether it's having a card day where we gonna play different board games and card games together and hang out, or if they just come over, like their whole family comes over to our house for like a bonfire night or just a hangout night or a wiffle ball night. It's just super fun because we can find different ways that we can connect with our friends in different ways, and that takes effort. When you want to grow yourself and have a community and have a family of good church people that have this similar motives that you do and the similar standards that you do with their faith and their family and different things, you got to make sure that you seek out them, because if you don't seek out each other, how will you have a connection?
Right, and that's really good. And one of the ways that I work on myself a lot is, spiritually, I'll read books that help me remind myself of my identity, who I am, and how I can help others realize their identity, and also listen to podcasts from the lead pastors of our church, of Awaken Church, and that's been really, really helpful because you can listen to it or read it, and then you can keep rewinding, go back to it, ponder it, think about it. So just having that, the importance of listening to and reading stuff that actually matters rather than what doesn't.
Right. Making sure that you're not wasting your time by studying the things that don't really help move you forward. I mean, it's really easy to get sidetracked.
Yeah.
I mean, it'd be really easy to just pick up a different podcast that isn't really going to help you move forward.
Right.
Or, just waste your time studying stuff that isn't going to be very helpful, right?
Right.
But you've chosen that you only have so much time in a day.
Yeah.
And so with that, you want to be intentional on what you're studying.
Right. I want to be effective with what I'm studying, not just for me, but for the people around me, so I can be the best version of me.
That's good. How about you, Bella? What are some of the things that you've been working on during this season?
Well, I think one of the biggest things is that even when we do go to church on Sundays, we're soaking a lot. So to be serving in church as well as soaking. And so what me and my sisters like to do is volunteer in the kids area and hang out with the kids and help lead their groups and things like that. And so we're not just serving, but we can also, or just not just soaking, but we're also getting the opportunity to help serve the people who are serving us.
Right. I mean, the kids area, what a blessing. What a blessing to be able to love and pour into and pray over the sweet kids that are in kids' youth.
Definitely.
And then that expands, right, Bella, to outside of course, church. Because what do you love to do if you're not, if you have been asked to go do? What is something that you love to do with families?
Well, I really love to babysit and things like that. And so also using that as an opportunity to show God's love to each of the kids I babysit and making it really a peaceful time for them and for their parents so that they can have the best time that they can and yet with God's love all around them.
Mm-hmm. I love that. So, one of the things that the girls love to do is when they're watching everybody else's kids is to make sure that they really are not only being, responsible and watching them, but really bringing a spirit of God across the board.
For sure.
Yeah. What are some of the ways that you do that while you're babysitting?
Well, one way that for instance, yesterday, I was playing with some of the kids at the God and Country Festival, and it was starting to get dark, and one of the girls tells me, I'm afraid of the dark. Is it going to get really dark? And I'm like, well, it's going to get dark, but for one thing, there's a lot of lights here. You don't need to be afraid. And for the second thing, God is with us, so don't even worry about it. We're all going to have a ton of fun. Just keeping things positive and reminding them of the promises of God, even if they don't quite understand them all, is really important.
Right. Being able to speak into them, even though, it might not be natural at first, to make it natural to bring up the topic all the time.
Right.
Yep. Did you want to add something, Abbie?
Yeah. So we make sure that we grow ourselves on a regular basis outside of church, whether it's also having time as a family unit so we can show others what it's like to have a connected family, because that's also another example that we can show when we grow ourselves and when we grow our family. If you don't grow yourselves, how can you grow others? But also don't just be too much of yourself. Make sure that it's like there's a balance to it all. And so when we're helping babysit, because of how connected our family is, we can help their family be even more connected by the example that we've set as a family and as an individual.
That's good. And then what are some of the other things we do to work on ourselves? What are some of the, books or conversations we have, or even taking the time to reach out and get to know other people?
Right. It's super important. Like we were mentioning a little bit earlier, reaching out and having and making sure we nourish our relationships. Like when we have about maybe every 3 weeks, we have a bonfire / hangout day at our house, maybe on a Friday or Saturday night. We think it's really important to invite some of the key friends that we want to connect with and keep connecting with. We invite them over and we either do something like wiffle ball or have a bonfire or just hang out and spend time together. Whatever it is, we really try hard to nourish those relationships.
Right. And most times it's not even just here at our home. Many times the girls will go out and play tennis with friends from their tennis team or, hook up with people from their golf team, whatever it may be. And they don't necessarily go to our church. It really isn't about just hanging out with people at our church. It's going out and finding God's people and being able to love and serve on them in other ways, right?
Yep, that's very right. And also going into different ways that you can grow yourself when you grow yourself spiritually. We like to listen to different podcasts, like we said earlier, of different people through Awaken, because there's so many great pastors in our Awaken church group that we can just listen to and also fill ourselves and then study on our own.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing is, it's not all about just studying in a group setting all the time. Again, it's applying what we've learned outside of just our immediate circles at church and stuff like that. That's the key to the whole thing. That's why a lot of times, even when you guys are playing tennis with your friends, many times it's an opportunity to show and create that amazing, peaceful atmosphere that you guys know how to, correct?
Right. Like an example is that we were all studying a podcast by Pastor Leanne today, and we were studying about pleading the blood. And then after the podcast, Mom was like, okay, guys, can you all listen to the podcast? Then tomorrow we'll all take communion and talk about what we learned. And that's what we did this morning. And it was amazing. We got to pray together, and we took communion, and we just talked about the podcast and our favorite parts of it.
Yes. And so what are some of the things, let's just go back because I know I've circled it a couple times, but I don't think you guys had a chance to answer it. When you are with friends and people outside of our church environment, how do you bring in that peaceful atmosphere?
Well, I think a big thing is just always being the example, like never going away from what we've learned and things like that, like never gossiping or like speaking negatively or anything like that, like just sticking to who we are and being the example and the light on the hill for all of our friends, even if they don't exactly know it then they at least see the example and will maybe later ask questions about it.
And also another thing that I think is really important is we're always super readily encouraging. Like whenever they're talking about something that maybe they're not proud of, or be like, well, that's okay, you can do better next time, we believe in you, or that was an awesome shot, I'm so proud of you, things like that. Just always being super encouraging so that they can feel like we're always holding them up.
And also with our friends, we choose wisely the friends that we want to hang out with. We make sure that we hang out with friends who have the similar morals that we have in our family, who are kind and very encouraging and are very positive. We make sure that we surround ourselves with the right friends so that it's not like burdensome to be around them. We want to make sure that it's also fun for us, not just always having to be on our game, but also finding a group of friends where we can actually have fun with them and not have to worry about if they're a little bit negative in certain areas.
Right. And that only comes from like time with people and trying it out, right? But we've also found some people that don't really relate to us and aren't really encouraging when we try to be positive, right?
Right.
And in those situations, we'll try a couple times, but if you don't want to come up to a new standard, we can't exactly force you.
Right, because standards are super important.
Right. So in those environments, we typically try to change the subjects. If somebody doesn't really want to come up and be positive or have a high standard or, kind of change their attitude, we'll try for a while, but then eventually we know, you know what, they're stuck in a rut.
Right.
And that's not really for us to be correcting them on.
Right, because we let people be them as long as they let us be us.
Correct. And I think one of the key things, again, is taking what you're learning sometimes, wherever it may be, from your church or from your podcast or from wherever, and applying it in today's world is the most important thing. We can sit and read and study all day long in our offices, but if we don't go out and apply it in today's world, then that's not very helpful.
Right. Applying is super important because it moves the effect of what you're learning off of yourself, and it helps spread to help other people.
Correct. And when we do that, then we get an opportunity to pour into people that might not have been poured into before.
Right. And that's just knowing that it's not about me. It's not, this situation isn't about me. It's about how I can serve other people, my capacity to serve other people. It's my response to my ability to serve others. So yes, I need to study and grow myself, but I'm growing myself to help grow others.
Right. Because it's one thing to help our own environment, but it's so impactful to go out there and help others. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Did you want to add something, Bella?
Yeah, I think all those things are definitely a big factor of how we treat our friends and everything like that. And then I also think a big thing is perspective and how you want to look at the situation. Like, is this going to affect me in 10 minutes? No. Okay. So do I really want to do this action or whatever? Or would I prefer doing something that'll actually last and have matter and actually like matter to someone else. So like, for example, if we're playing tennis and the conversation starts going negative, then we try to change the subject and we get the perspective that this isn't good for any of us. Like, talking about negative things doesn't help us at all. So let's just let's change the subject and just go on to a positive path, and so that it can really because what you talk about really affects everyone in the conversation.
It really does. It affects you, number one, but number two, it affects whoever it is that you're around. I mean, if you're one of those people that are going to sit there and let an atmosphere be negative all the time, you're not exactly the fun person to hang out with.
Definitely, for
right?
sure.
So I think, taking what we learn and applying it in multiple areas goes to show how much you care about other people.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Definitely.
Good. All right. We'll talk next time.
Hey everyone, thanks for listening and thanks for your love and support. We hope that today's episode added tremendous value to you and your family. It would mean so much to us if you would partner with us on our mission of helping parents around the globe raise champion children in this crazy world.
To do so, simply take a moment to like and share this podcast with everyone in your network. See you next time.